It wouldn't surprise me if the matchup against the dissolved decks are actually okay. Plus, it won't be hard for him to draw better than he did in the round 15 match we watched.
It was not the best display.
No, it wasn't. For you Mono White Devotion fans out there, it wasn't pretty.
If you were trying to make a promotional tape in support of Mono White Devotion,
We'll throw that one away.
You would not be able to find much there.
Yeah, don't use that one. Because boy, did it look ugly. Looks like Pimm's going to take a mulligan
Turn 2 Anafenza into turn 3 Hangerback Walker and bolster onto the Hangerback Walker. That was the best punch in 2 games.
As far as I'm concerned, that was the only punch in 2 games.
Untapped, got to attack for some damage. Pretty sweet opening.
Yeah.
That was the best turn we saw.
We didn't see much out of Tucker Decker in that match. Excuse me, Tucker Gettle in that match. So we are hoping to see more from him. Looks like Smith is pleased enough with his opening hand. Doesn't look thrilled, but you also won't get a lot of emotion out of Erik Smith either. Rather quiet cat there at the table. See if Pimm can find a 6-card hand that he is happy with. Again, Smith will be on the play as he is the #1 overall seed. He has really destroyed this tournament. It's been his from the start. And Pimm will take a look at his opening hand here. Looks like he's going to keep it. Jace, a couple copies of Elspeth, and some lands as we are underway here in our quarterfinals from Worcester. Top card goes to the bottom here from Erik Smith off a Temple of Malady. Ochai's Command, the first draw step there for Pimm. Smith onto the board pretty early there with a Fleece Mane Lion. A Plains and a Jace.
First test in the match right here. If Smith can kill this Jace, he gets to cash in one of his inefficient cards. And Pimm is already mulliganed. But if Smith can't kill it, and it appears that he cannot, Pimm gets to start fixing his hand a little bit.
Has some Siege Rhinos and some Wingmate Rocks in the hand there for Smith. And Jace is going to go active. Another copy of Jace in the hand that Pimm can discard, and that's exactly what he will discard. Looks like he picked up a copy of Disdainful Stroke.
One in the main deck.
Yep. Radiant Fountain comes down to gain some life there for Pimm. We head back Smith's way. Hangerback Walker the draw. Here's an attack for 3. Smith going to very quickly sacrifice that Windswept Heath.
I doubt Smith is going to make much effort to play around Disdainful Stroke game 1 with only 1 copy in the list. Might be tapping out for Siege Rhino this turn, and if so, very good spot for Pimm's Disdainful Stroke.
Here is Siege Rhino. Disdainful Stroke will take care of that. So we head back Pimm's way. Active Jace, Dig Through Time was the draw. He will activate Jace. Tranquil Cove, the draw here.
Another nice draw here. I believe Pimm was out without lands. Also now has access to double blue. Hands starting to come together a little bit.
Discard Dig Through Time, play that Tranquil Cove, gain a life, go back up to 17. One of the nice things about blue-white control and blue-black control in this format is that you do get to play those lands that gain life. Radiant Fountain goes across both decks. Tranquil Cove for blue-white, Dismal Backwater for blue-black. As here's another copy of Siege Rhino. This one will resolve, so Pimm will lose 3 and Smith will gain 3. 22 to 11 the life totals here. Another Tranquil Cove, the draw step there for Pimm, so he'll go up to 12.
Good news there for Smith. Worst case scenario going into that turn is Pimm having a flooded strand, looting with Jace, and casting in hostilities.
Here come the beatdowns. For Smith, he's even got 5 mana available for Fleece Mane Lion to go monstrous if you'd like.
And I think Smith is loath to develop the board much beyond this.
Jace is going to jump in front of Fleece Mane Lion. There will be a block, and now an activation.
Sure, Smith not too upset about this. The Jace just chump blocking here.
Last Breath being discarded. Good choice there by Douglas. Not a lot to do with that card right now.
Now I think Smith definitely wants to go monstrous, as that block to me indicates and hostilities or some other sweeper.
I like an upkeep monstrous activation, or if Douglas does tap out, like with this Ochitai's command, it's going to bring back Jace. Might be a good spot now to activate the Monstrosity and Fleecemane Lion.
I believe so as well.
And a couple copies of Wingmate Rock in hand here for Smith. The matchup isn't so much about that card, so not surprising to see him pass up on the opportunity to cast that with Raid. Got to go Monstrous on Fleecemane Lion instead. Back over to Pimm we go, now that he's got a Jace and Hostilities in hand.
We've seen Smith earlier in this tournament use cards like Fleecemane Lion, Hangerback Walker to insulate himself a little bit from sweepers. He's never going to be great against the 5-mana sweepers of the format like in Hostilities and Crux of Fate, but if he applies enough pressure, he can make one threat challenging enough to remove that he isn't just dead on the spot to one big sweeper.
And Hostilities will be discarded. Jace will flip into the Telepath Unbound, as that requirement has been met. It'll start on 5 counters. It's going to fall down to 2. And Hostilities is going to be flashed back. There goes Siege Rhino. I do wonder how much has been accomplished on this turn.
Yeah, that turn felt more fancy than good.
Yeah. Fleecemane Lion. Smith says, I'm going right at you. Now here's Wingmate Rock.
And again, Smith with a nice diverse set of attackers here. Elspeth, that's fine. Smith's got action going on in the air. Another sweeper, that's fine. Fleecemane Lion's still alive.
I like the entire setup here for Smith. Feels very hard to lose at this point. You mentioned Elspeth, that can't kill Wingmate Rock. If there's another end Hostilities, doesn't kill Fleecemane Lion, so that'll be lethal because Jace can't even target it.
Right,
So,
got hexproof.
Yep.
Very well set up here by Smith. He's been very judicious about the Monstrosity on Fleecemane Lion, and Hangerback Walker is giving him protection from these spots where it looks like the control deck is starting to turn the corner.
Here's a copy of Anticipate. We haven't seen this card very much in Standard, and that is going to be a concession right away, not what Douglas Pimm was looking for. So Eric Smith is going to win game number 1 here over Douglas Pimm. Abzan aggro very quickly up a game here over Blue-White Control. As we turn our attention to the sideboards, we will start with what Douglas Pimm is working with. You also see what Eric Smith is working with here on screen for Arashan Cleric. A Banishing Light, a Disdainful Stroke, a Fated Retribution, 3 Mastery of the Unseen, 2 Negates, a Pearlic Ancient, and 2 copies of Revoke Existence.
Not a whole lot to see here that I'm that excited about. I think the 1 copy of Banishing Light, the 1 copy of Fated Retribution, those cards are fine here. I think Pearlic Ancient is on the fence of a card I would consider bringing in. It's at least an effective blocker on the ground. And I think the additional copy of Disdainful Stroke is also okay here, but not a whole lot to improve this matchup.
For Eric Smith, he's got 2 Duress, 2 Elspeth Sun's Champion, 2 Herald of Torment, 2 Self-Inflicted Wound, 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Tragic Arrogance, and a copy of Ultimate Price. I know that you like getting that removal out and those discard spells in.
I love the 3 Thoughtseizes. I love the 2 copies of Duress, and I think that the Herald of Torments and the Elspeth Sun's Champion are reasonable cards to bring in. For me, the real question is, how much removal does Smith want to take out of his deck? If he takes it all out altogether, then Jace Vryn's Prodigy becomes a lot more threatening. If he removes the Dromoka's commands, then something like Banishing Light and maybe even Mastery of the Unseen could be a tool that Pimm goes to. So I don't know if Erik is going to bail on every piece of removal and just hope that his Streamline Curve and his discard spells can allow him to overpower Jace should that card show up, or if he leaves in a little bit of removal to protect himself against a turn 2 Jace Vryn's Prodigy. But in any event, the 5 discard spells are going to be coming in, and they're coming in at the expense of some of his removal spells.
And that's an exchange I think he's got to be thrilled to make.
Yes.
Especially after getting game 1, which seemed like a pretty important game. And for what it's worth, that game looked pretty easy. I know that Pimm did take a mulligan, but Smith kind of rolled there to victory.
And Smith's got a lot of cards he can cut. He's got the removal spells, and he's got the 2 copies of Wingmate Rock, which I know they ended up killing Pimm in that game, but I don't think it's his best card in the matchup. It's very expensive, vulnerable to dissolve. On curve, Pimm can untap and hit it with a removal spell. So between the removal spells and the copies of Wingmate Rock, Smith has a lot of cards he can remove and a lot of flexibility in the way he can approach the matchup.
Well, these players will shuffle up and get ready here for game number 2. And in the meantime, we will talk about the Season 4 schedule here on the Open Series, where last week we were in Cincinnati. We watched Todd Anderson win his 6th Open Series event. It was his 23rd top 8, both records here on the Open Series. So congratulations to him. Soon enough, we'll have a champion here in Worcester. And the next weekend, our last weekend of Thero Standard, we're going to Milwaukee.
Yeah, we're going to wave goodbye to this standard format, take a week off for the Battle of Zendikar pre-release, and then hit the ground running with standard action in Indianapolis, October 3rd and 4th. After that, we head to Atlanta, Legacy in St. Louis, Modern in Dallas, a Standard Open back in Philadelphia. After that, Grand Prix Atlanta. Information about that event has been posted. More information to come out as we get a little bit closer. Standard Open Series in Kansas City, a Legacy Open in New Jersey, Standard in Denver. After that, the Season 4 Invitational in Las Vegas, Nevada, Standard and Modern as the Invitational formats with a 2-day $20,000 Standard Open Series event, December 11th through the 13th. And then a week after that, the Players Championship, Roanoke, Virginia, Star City Games headquarters, December 19th and 20th to close out the year.
Looking forward to all those dates and any main events that you do play up until December 5th in that show in Denver. We will have the Hop and Rabbit Master play mat available for you. Bunny Beatdowns, a play on Goblin Rabble Master, very powerful Goblin Maker that we have seen have a lot of Open Series dominance. Hop and Rabbit Master, again, as I did mention, available until December 5th. You sign up for a main event, you'll get one of these bad boys. So look forward to that. And then next year, we'll have some other new ones, some parody playmats. That'll be Battle for Zendikar focused.
And this is free of charge for any person who registers for one of the 2-day $20,000 Open Series events until December 5th. That's the Open Series event in Denver. So lots of opportunities to get this playmat. We're going to be all around the country during Season 4. So wherever you are in the United States, if you want to get your hands on this playmat, just head over to one of our Open Series events throughout the entirety of Season 4.
Game number 2 about to be underway here. Erik Smith did win game number 1 against Douglas Pimm. Again, when we do have updates for you guys on other matches, we will let you know. We've got a lot of Abzan, Aggro, and Esper Dragons here in the top 8. A little splash of Jeskai and Mono White Devotion. You can also find those results as they do happen at SCG Live, as we got Nick Miller in the feature match area. He's tweeting away, letting you guys know what's winning. Both these players will take a look at their opener. We'll see if Pimm can find an opening hand that he likes here.
Already mulligan the first game. Got to be way more apprehensive about mulligans in the post-board game with Smith having access to so many discard spells alongside Den Protector.
It looks like he's going to keep. Almost kind of faked the mulligan there, but actually what he was doing is getting ready to scry the Temple of Enlightenment. Top card going to go to the bottom. Game number 2 underway. Den Protector, the draw there for Smith. Temple of Silence. We'll put the top card to the bottom here for Erik. Over to Douglas Pimm we go. He'll play a Tranquil Cove, push himself up to 21. And we will head back Smith's way. He'll very quickly sacrifice a Windswept Heath, Fleecemane Lion, and there is a basic forest. There's an island there for Pimm, past that turn back. Smith will untap, and he will draw. Picked up a copy of Anafenza. Lion's going to come across for 3 yet again. Now there's another copy of Fleecemane Lion. The nice thing about playing against blue-white control as opposed to blue-black is you don't have to worry about a card like Bile-Blight or Languish.
Yeah, although with Smith missing land drops now, and Hostilities has to be on his radar.
Here come the Lions yet again. Pimm's going to take 6. Looks like he's going to fall down to 12. Smith did find a land here in Urborg. And now's actually a pretty good time to cast a discard spell if he has one. So here's a Thought Seize, maybe to try to snipe and end Hostilities. Dissolve is going to counter that, however. The question is, does Smith have another discard spell? He has 5 after sideboard.
Looks like he's on Downfall and some 3 and 4 mana creatures.
So he'll just pass the turn back over to Pimm. Pimm will draw, picked up a copy of Tranquil Cove. Up to 13 goes Douglas.
Good news there for Smith. No land number 5 untapped.
Yep. Smith will draw, and he'll come across here for 6 points of damage. There's a Caves of Koilos, and now Smith will pass the turn back over to Pimm.
Very savvy there by Smith, not running in any potential counter spells. Knows about Oach-Size Command, Disdainful Stroke, Dissolve. Pimm's got to be able to beat the board. And if Pimm taps out for something like Elspeth Sun's Champion and Hostilities, Smith can hammer him with one of his expensive spells.
Well, there's land number 5 for Smith, so he can present lethal if he'd like to. And he's actually going to just try to do that here. And Smith has Urborg on the battlefield, so here's Oceanide's command, and this is Oceanide's command that says, I need to gain 4 life to stay alive.
And Smith doesn't even mind this because, well, he doesn't care about any hostilities anymore.
Yep. I like Smith going with the activation of Fleecemane Lion there. Of course, we have the privilege of being able to see Pimm's hand, but Smith also just recognizing some weakness here. He refuses to play into the counter magic, and he just is basically saying, look, you haven't done anything. You have to have an answer for this.
Pimm's deck is a lot of counter spells. Makes sense.
Radiant Fountain will allow Douglas to gain 2 life, and now here is Elspeth Sun's champion. So, 3 soldier tokens on the way. They're looking at chump block. However, Smith has quite a few follow-ups in hand because he hasn't been casting any spells, so he will untap. He'll draw, copy a Thoughtseize.
Pairs very nicely with the downfall in his hand. He can attack the best card in Pimm's hand. On top of that, remove the Elspeth from the table.
Dig Through Time, Disdainful Stroke, Ugin, a Tranquil Cove, and let's make it a second Dig Through Time here for Douglas Pimm. Problem here for Douglas is that he's had some real issues actually filling up the graveyard. And what'll be interesting to see is exactly what Smith wants to do this turn, both with the Thoughtseize and how he wants to move forward. You mentioned Hero's Downfall taking care of Elspeth. That's definitely one route to go. Could also just cast a Siege Rhino as well.
Could take Disdainful Stroke out of the hand, figure out something else to do with this turn, and then hammer in with a 4-mana spell next turn. A lot of good routes here.
I think Smith is certainly in a winning position right now, but he's got to figure out how he wants to carve out the rest of this turn and future turns.
If I'm in Smith's spot here, the priority is getting Elspeth off the table, because if Pimm draws very well, then suddenly Elspeth's protected, and it's very hard to do very much of anything with Smith's deck against that card being active.
Disdainful Stroke. This is a selection there with Thoughtseize. Looks like Smith is going to go the Siege Rhino route. Going to try to overpower Pimm right now. Pimm falls down to 3. Smith up to 20.
I guess the logic here from Smith is that Pimm can't beat the board because Siege Rhino has trample if he pluses the Elspeth. If he minuses, he can't beat the Fleecemane Lions. And if you dig through times for help, well, then you can just follow up the game with the other Siege Rhino in your hand and win that way.
Quick update for you guys. Mike Diadilori does win game number 1 here over Andrew Jessup. Looks like Esper Dragon's up a game over Abzan Aggro.
You get the sense Smith is trying to set this game up where it's attractive for Pimm to tap out for Ugin while he's at 3 or less, and then the second Siege Rhino wins the game.
See what Pimm wants to do here on this turn, as we do want to apologize. Had that result actually backwards for you guys. So for you Andrew Jessup fans out there, he is actually up a game right now with Abzan Aggro over Mike Diadilori. That'll be an island as Pimm falls down to 2, thanks to the Flooded Strand. Here's Dig Through Time. So this is the search for help that you mentioned.
Yeah.
2 more quick updates for you as Pimm will be resolving this dig, taking a look at the top 7 cards and taking 2 with them. Stephen Hicks with Jeskai up a game here over Tucker Gettle in his mono white devotion deck. So the feature match area has not been kind for Tucker yet this weekend. And then for Michael Hedges with Esper Dragons, he's up a game over Josh Giambra playing Abzan Aggro.
Still waiting for game win number 1.
Yes, we are.
0-3 in games, 1-0 in matches.
Tough to do.
And here's the squeeze. You plus the Elspeth, trample on the Siege Rhino becomes problematic to block. If you minus, then you've got 2 Fleecemane Lions on 1 token. And Smith setting this all up with Siege Rhino left over. So Pimm being pulled in a lot of different directions. Hard to answer everything.
Elspeth's moving up. 3 more soldier tokens. Yeah, it's time to pass the turn back. Smith will very quickly draw. Shrug his shoulders, get into the red zone. Siege Rhino having trample certainly matters here. Looks like the plan is the last breath the own token. And a Hero's Downfall can counter that. Siege Rhino can trample over for the W. And that's going to do it. Erik Smith's going to win this match over Douglas Pimm. 2-0. Abzan Aggro will take care of blue-white control. And for the former Invitational champion, he moves on to the quarterfinals. Keep in mind, Erik Smith has only lost one match this week, and it's been a dominant display here for him.
Yeah, and pretty straightforward wins there. Pimm's hands were not great. A mulligan in game number 1 there. Struggled to answer Fleece Main Line in both games. And Smith was very, very savvy playing around the counter spells and the sweepers.
Congratulations to Erik Smith. Moving on here in Worcester, #1 overall seed. They'll be playing the winner, of Andrew Jessup versus Mike Diodorley. So we'll see.